Hi, this is Rob Sheen with the Source Conference, and I'm here with Bob Adams, who's the product marketing manager for security at Mimecast. So he's going to be speaking at Source Boston on May 9th and 10th. And the title of his talk is The Nigerian Prince Has Been Dethroned, but Email Remains King, which is an awesome title. So I think I know what you're alluding to there, the whole Nigerian email scam. So how has that Nigerian prince been dethroned?
The attack, you'll still see it. People will probably still fall for it, but it's really evolved. What we really see is that attackers, saw that tactic as something that they could use in the early days of email, but now that people have become smarter, more technologically advanced, they've had to kind of develop their tactics. So the people that still try to pull off that scam, they're, back in the early 90s, whereas we're looking towards, the future in terms of what attackers can actually find and then use in these attacks.
Right. So how have some of these attacks evolved? Like what, because I'm sure they've gotten a lot more sophisticated in some cases. What are some examples?
So the key thing is, there's a lot of malware and viruses and things of that sort. But I look at kind of the social aspect of it, because social engineering is really what's becoming popular. It's a lot easier to manipulate a conversation and trick people to do things rather than, say, code a new virus to try to break into, say, a firewall or what have you, or a network. It's much easier to just spin up different ways to actually manipulate somebody to send money or get give their passwords up. And then from that standpoint, I don't need the user anymore. I can take control myself. So it's really evolved in terms of, it's especially the multi-pronged attacks. It's not just, one attack. It's multiple different things coming at you at once that you really need to defend against.
Interesting. So as far as dealing with this, should we be primarily focused on blocking the issues or detecting them? And, why don't we start there?
I always look at it kind of, you obviously want protection, but protection is just part of it. It's the training aspect that you really need to take advantage of, because so many times we just say stop to a user. Mm-hmm. And to a regular user, that doesn't teach me anything. I'm just being told I can't do it. What you'll have is a user call the admin saying, I've been trying to get here. I clicked on this link 6 times. I'm being blocked. It's like, right. Yeah, that's kind of the idea. So what we need to do is take advantage of these teachable moments. So, yeah, you can block it, you can detect it, but what you need to do is then translate that into kind of the next phase in terms of, okay, now I need to cascade this down to my environment so they can understand, what happened, why it's happening, and, if it happens again, maybe bypasses X detection, they can be that last line of defense to protect you.
Right. That makes sense. But just one of the things I hear from people, and I've asked a few people this recently, so you're just kind of the latest in the line, so I'm just kind of going down seeing who I want everybody's opinion on this one. So can end users actually be trained for this stuff? Because what I hear often is like some of them can, but some of them can't, and because some of them can't, you only need one, right? So is this whole exercise in training people futile?
It's not, and I'll tell you exactly why. Because you can look at every different organizations. We're friends with PhishMe. They're now rebranded to Cofense, and there's other companies like KnowBe4. And their whole business is e-security awareness training, and it's very important because when you first deploy those trainings, you'll see a massive amount of failure rates. You'll never get down to a 0% failure rate, but what you can do is drastically reduce that. I want to say 2016 Verizon data breach report. The average failure rate was about 30% of users were opening and clicking on phishing links, which is a high percentage. Mm-hmm. But if you can drop that down to 15, or maybe even, it's hard, but under even 10%, you're now no longer at a 30 to 70% failure rate, which you can see when you start from. So, it's not futile. It's kind of like, you create documentation for your users. That offsets some of your help desk tickets, but your users are still going to call you. Does that mean you don't create the documentation? Absolutely not. It's trying to do your best at, solving an uphill battle.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I've always kind of seen it as a necessary layer. Just, you get it to the degree you can get it, and then you're good. And then, the things that still slip through, you find other ways to deal with those things, and just kind of making the problem a little bit more manageable. That's how I usually look at it. And Masha Sadova, who was on the podcast recently, her take was that having some of the users, be aware of it allows at least one person to notice and report it. That way you can help train your internal systems. That was a really interesting one that I think is probably one of the more important reasons, actually, now that I heard her say it.
Oh, I mean, that is true. And one of the things I love that Mimecast has is user awareness. So if I were, say, a problem user, it learns from each user, and I'm, say, that user that just constantly clicks on things I'm not supposed to.
Mm-hmm.
What you actually can be prompted with is information about the email, about the link, and then you're actually given an option, which I like. It's, it's safe, it's harmful. And if I'm that user no, it's safe, and I click it's safe, I'm actually brought to another page that tells me it's bad, tells me why, and in the back end, my favorite part is logged. An admin can actually see Bob Adams clicked this link. Bob was given a choice, and he made the wrong choice. And now looking historically, he's made that wrong choice 12 times this month. So It also helps really identify those problem users.
Right. I'm just imagining the Microsoft Clippy popping up and saying, "Hey, I've noticed that you like to click on email attachments."
We actually toyed with doing a joke campaign about something like that because everyone remembers Clippy as much fun as he was. It drove everyone nuts.
Clippy was a funny thing.
Yeah.
Definitely a distinct point in time. So overall, do you think we've gotten better, or do you think we're kind of just running on the treadmill here? This stuff.
I like to think we're getting better. We have people that are definitely getting better. We still have the users that are still kind of oblivious to a lot of things, but it's a matter of the technology that's being used to stop the attacks. Because from my standpoint, we look at a lot of different studies. People don't realize it's well over 90% of attacks start with an email. People are inherently trusting, well, I got an email. It's like someone sent me a package. I'm going to open this. Or, hey, Microsoft wants me to reset my password. So we're getting better at teaching users what to look out for, especially, thankfully, while we don't have the Nigerian prince as much anymore, we still have the bad Microsoft tech support callers. So it's being reported on a lot more. There's a lot more visibility. So people are becoming more suspicious. So I definitely say, we're getting more towards in favor of the users, but attackers are still getting smarter. I mean, there's 4 key pillars I always look at that are really driving the success factor. It's simplicity, credibility, psychology, and urgency. Attackers are sending simple emails, using credible information, using psychological tricks, whether it's a executive to a lower-ranking person or a government authority to just a general citizen, and they're always urgent. Do it now or there will be consequences. So when you combine those 4 elements, that's really what's taking it into a perfect storm to make a user fall for something or just a general person. But thankfully, we still do have the people that are becoming more and more suspicious where they're actually stopping before they do it. So it's not as prevalent, but we will continue to have a back and forth battle for sure.
I actually really like that. That's great. So in your talk itself, I think I heard you're going to give some examples of kind of real world things people are doing now.
Yeah, without giving too much away, I'll actually give an example of a perfect spear phishing attack I got. It actually involves social media. It involves different countries, different compromised accounts. So it was literally a perfect storm where nothing actually could have stopped it. It was me being a smart user that actually stopped it. I mean, if I had tried to go through with it, I would have been blocked. But to me, for it to actually get to the point to get to me was really impressive. Where I was kind of like, I almost want to respond to find out who you are. That was pretty good. So I give some examples like that, and then just some of the general examples and why they're working. But then also I like to highlight some of the other tactics, some of the things I mentioned, but really some of the other simple things that actually work. Like a real life example where the signature was just president in all caps, and someone fell for it. So it's a little bit of the simple stuff. I like to talk about some things where people will be sitting there, yeah, what else are you going to tell me? Kind of set the stage and then bring it to the point where it's like, okay, bring it full circle, and really just hope people think about these attacks and the way they work in a different way.
Awesome. Well, it sounds like a really cool talk, and I look forward to seeing it on May 9th and 10th at Source Boston. So it's just this next week. So if you guys are seeing this now, show up next week in Boston, and we're going to have a cool conference. So hope to see you all there, and come on by and continue the conversation.
Awesome. Can't wait.
Yeah, thanks, Bob. See you next week.
Thank you.